Time for the live Burning River Sportscast. Giants 21, Browns 15. We'll break it all down for you next. Welcome into a very special game day live edition of the Burning River Sportscast, presented by the fine folks at Tappan Media. I'm Kenny Thunder. If beer were glue, he'd be anonymous. He's Red Hot Ronnie Jams. And when gangsters cry, he wipes their tears. He's the Big Bone Man. Good morning or good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
Back to Red Hot. Where can the listeners find the dopest dope they ever heard on a podcast, as well as the unofficial podcast of Cleveland Browns backers everywhere?
Oh, you want to know? You can find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, the only place that you can find our video podcast. Unless it's live, then you can find it multiple places. And check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Our handle for all those is at Burning River Sportscast. We're on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, with the handle at Burning River Pod. And while you're at it, check out our merch, www.thetappenmedia.com/shop. Got all kinds of stuff in there: River gear, Chubb line, Brook Park Browns gear. We're gonna have to make up something about how bad they are, and put some like a t-shirt with like a fan with a bag over his head, maybe. I don't know.
Just a bag, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to some of our sponsors: Towpath Distillery. Towpath Distillery, an award-winning craft distillery located in Akron, Ohio. Towpath Distillery focuses on high-quality spirits carefully made in small batches. Available locally and in 46 states. Visit towpath-distillery.com to place your order online or find an OHLQ retailer near you. And True Fan Travel, they got a big trip coming up this next week to Las Vegas. If you're going on that trip, it's going to be a great time. If you're not, you should have got tickets. You really messed up. But they also have trips to Washington, D.C., New Orleans, and Denver later this year. We will be on the New Orleans trip. That'll include an optional round trip, private charter flight, 3-night stay at Renaissance, New Orleans, Pear, Marquette, French Quarter, welcome party, all-inclusive cruise down the Mississippi River with the Dog Pound, Q&A with Kevin Mack with some autographs as well, a pep rally, all-inclusive tailgate, tickets to the game at the Superdome, an on-site trip coordinator should anything arise. So it's going to be a pretty good party. Make sure you guys get your tickets. Come join us in the Big Easy. So, but let's get into things. Today on the show, this is what you can look forward to. We're going to recap the god-awful game against the Giants. Give you guys our initial reactions. I can tell you they are not good. Kind of how we're feeling about the Browns to this point, what our confidence level is or lack thereof. And I'm sure there's going to be so much more. So with that, I guess live from Cleveland, it's Sunday night. Woo. Now let's get it started by reminding everyone to call the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. Don't forget to call and leave your takes on the Hot Take Hotline. Remember, these are hot takes. We want hot takes.
We want hot takes.
We want hot takes. 330-227-8080. Yeah, 330-227-8080. Call us. We want your takes so we can put them on the air. We can talk about them, or send us a message here live, and we'll get to everything we can. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the week 3 recap. Huh. I already forgot about it.
I wish it was week 2.
Yeah.
We won that time.
No, so guys, here's the deal. We came into this thing high hopes. We were ready to go. Or we were. I don't know about the Browns. Apparently the Browns weren't ready to go. But we were ready to go. We thought this was one of those games that you should definitely win. You got Daniel Jones, who's been god-awful. You've got the rest of the Giants who have been god-awful. And instead what we got was the Browns looked like the Giants. We got bad QB play, bad O-line play, bad running back play, bad penalties, bad coaching. Just bad. Just bad. I mean, pretty much said it all.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Just end the podcast here.
Yeah, it's done. It was awful.
We can talk about maybe 2 plays. You know, that first turnover and then the nice throw to Amari Cooper in the end zone. And that was about it.
That was about it. Yeah, and I mean, so we can go through this thing. I don't know if you guys want to break down, the box score and go through everything, or if we just want to generally talk about how shitty this game was. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, I don't know a box score is necessary. We all watched it unfold. To Bone's point, we had our high point early in this game. It felt a lot like the way the Dallas game started, like where things were kind of going our way. You felt like they were spotting you 7 points, and felt like with that first throw to Amari, I felt like the offense was going to pop the top tonight, and they were just going to let it rip. And then we got anything but that.
Boy, were we wrong.
I mean, just poor everything. It's hard to blame one facet of the game or any individual players here, because they all played poorly.
Yeah, it was bad. We can start with, let's just go ahead, Kenny, we can start with Deshaun Watson. I know it's going to be kind of the hot topic. Let's go ahead and get it out of the way. I mean, overall, Deshaun Watson, I don't think he played a horrible game. I just don't think he played good either. Like, I know people will sit here and they'll complain and they'll want to say you can't blame Deshaun Watson for this. This wasn't his game to be blamed on. Whatever. He didn't play well.
No, and I think the stats actually can kind of trick you in this game, because statistically he was relatively efficient. What was he, 21 of 30 something for 196 yards,
21 of 37 for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then 4 rushes for 26 yards on top of it.
What that story doesn't tell you is how many times this Browns team went 3 and out or darn near 3 and out, and that offense just stalled. Your defense was on the field.
Well, and the other part I didn't get to was 2 fumbles, 2 lost.
Yeah, that's not good. You got to take care of the football. I mean, that's rule number 1, right? Did they pin the Jerome fumble on him, or did Jerome also have a lost fumble?
Yeah, they pinned the Jerome fumble on him. So I guess you're right. 1 fumble, 1 lost. If anybody has half a brain and watched the game, that fumble was not on Deshaun Watson. That was 100% Jerome Ford. It was in his chest. I don't know how you don't handle the ball.
Look, I'd love to dog on Deshaun there, but I mean that. I mean, you learn to take the ball. It's like one of the first things you do in Pee Wee football, and they've done it a million times. There's just no excuse for quarterback running back exchange to be fumbled. Period.
No,
especially when it happened. It's like you're trying to build momentum.
That was the game. I mean, I know we ended up getting the ball back one more time, but that was the game when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Deshaun goes, look, I mean, this team has now scored 17, 18, and 15 points in 3 consecutive weeks, and he's taken 16 sacks and has not eclipsed the 200-yard mark as a thrower. Those things should be concerning. And it's not like you're seeing great progress here, right? I mean, this offense looks. I mean, Jesus, we all watched it last year in 5 games with Joe Flacco. Compare last year's 5 games to the couple of Deshaun starts we've seen this year. It was a totally different offense.
Yeah, and you can't even fall back on the bullshit of, well, it was the offensive line was hurt. Okay, well, the offensive line's hurt again. Everybody's hurt all the time, and they still managed to make it happen last year. And this year's team is garbage offensively. They're just garbage. Let's call it what it is. They are hot trash.
And I don't know if it's just me. Maybe it's my TV. Maybe it's the resolution. Maybe it's a poor cat. It feels like there's something going on with his release. It looks to me like the.
Oh, you're talking about like how many balls are overthrown, underthrown, just way off target.
Just like coming out of his hand, like it doesn't feel like there's like enough zip on the ball coming out of his hand. Like he's like ducking it, letting him go, and I don't know. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but it's almost like he's double clutching all the way through the release. Like he's just not confident where he wants to go with the ball. The only time he was confident all day long with where he wanted to go was on 4th down to Cedric Tillman, hit him right in the numbers, and he promptly dropped the ball. So well done, Andrew Berry, another stellar wide receiver pick.
He ain't won it. Yeah, I mean, and here's the deal. Like, I would love to, especially just because of everything, the more allegations coming out, everything else, and how poorly he's played. I'd love to pin the whole thing on Deshaun Watson. It wasn't entirely him, but he played poorly. And to your point, I saw multiple times, and I know Bone mentioned it. He's like, I just don't know where he's throwing to.
Yeah.
He's like, where's that going? So
yeah, some of those balls today in the second half, especially, were like, I mean, where they were in the dirt, they were over guys' heads. I can't. I mean, how do you go from pinpoint accuracy on the Cedric Tillman throw to just I don't even know where that ball was going on other throws? It doesn't make any sense to me.
It's bad when I'm hearing from people who never watch football ever, and they're sitting there watching the game, and they're like, "Where was that supposed to go?"
And look too, like I don't want to discount like this whole thing is on Deshaun. Like, look, I do think it's time. I think you would be hard pressed to walk into that locker room tonight as Kevin Stefanski and not have quarterback change in your mind again. 17, 18, 15 points in 3 weeks. That's just not getting it done. Even if your defense plays pretty well, I mean, you're asking a lot of your defense to hold teams under 18 points in today's NFL. So if you're not contemplating a quarterback change right now, you're wrong. I mean, you almost have to do something just to create a spark plug. But I also don't want to discount that like a part of this is potentially scheme. We talked about the offensive line being in shambles, which is true. You had a bunch of injuries today. But not all of these are on even just the offensive line or on Deshaun. I'm looking on that third down where he sailed the ball over Amari's head, and I'm looking and I'm going, why are Amari and Jerry Jeudy 2 feet from each other in a route combination on 3rd and 5?
Like he overthrew Amari Cooper and it hit Jerry Jeudy and like
Jerry
the knees.
Jeudy. I mean, there's what kind of offense is this that you're running that your 2 top targets are next to each other?
Just throw it there. Hopefully one of them will get it.
I mean, like, again, like I don't have the years of football expertise. I don't know what football college like Ken Dorsey and these guys went to that said, put your 2 best players, run side by side down the field together, and that's a good play. But like where I come from, there was something called complementary routes. If you're on the same side of the field, trying to create spacing and find gaps in the zone, and I don't know.
It's kind of like the post and the out, or the flag and the in, or the dig, and like,
you don't want guys next to each other because then one defender can cover 2 guys. Like it's very simple, basic stuff. That again, I guess I didn't go to the Ken Dorsey school of offensive football, but I just can't. Outside of like a Hail Mary situation, why do you have playmakers together in routes? There was another time early on when they showed the replay and the commentators were like, there's just nowhere for Deshaun to go with this football. Like, how is there not? I know Njoku's hurt, but like, how is there not a release valve for this guy? Like, how is there not a check down? You got 3 guys in route and no check down. I mean, are we having that much hard of a time blocking that every asset is to max protect Deshaun Watson, that we can't put somebody out on a chip and delay route where they're sitting there 2 feet from Deshaun? Hey, I can catch the ball if you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Sticking with scheme, we kind of touched on it earlier, like when we were texting, but it seemed like the Giants adapted quickly to our defense being so aggressive early. They started, hitting us with screens, and they just drove down the field and scored on us, multiple times in that first half. And Stefanski just did the same stuff the entire first half, maybe 3 quarters, before he even threw a screen pass. So, slowed the Giants defense down, coming in on Deshaun. So I was just baffled. I don't know if it's scheme, if it's Deshaun can't see the field, if he doesn't have a check down, there's no outlet for him to throw the ball, or he's holding on to it too long. I don't know, but
yeah, I think several things here. So one, I think a lot of it is scheme, and the fact that, to your point, I mean, I know like there's been in the past people have come out and defended Stefanski, be like, you don't really make that many adjustments in a game. It's kind of a myth, but I mean, you do, because that's exactly what the Giants did, and you nailed it right at the beginning there. You said they started to throw a bunch of screens and a bunch of real short like stop routes and swing routes and things like that, and it makes your defense they can't just pin their ears back and come at you.
Right.
You run screens and draws. It keeps the defense off balance, and that was what spurred what little offense we had in the second half when Deshaun had his little. I think he completed 6 or 7 passes in a row. I mean, primarily those were short to the intermediate things where it's a dump off here, a screen there, and they had a couple of draws to Jerome that ended up going for decent yardage. I mean, it shouldn't take the coach of the year 3 quarters to figure out how to offset a 6-man rush. Like, if they're pinning their ears back and coming after you, you got to dump the ball early and put the ball behind their guys that are in front of you.
Absolutely.
It's not
so on the coaching front, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I don't know how both of you are feeling, but I warned him. I warned him last week that if he didn't get his shit together, we were going to return his name to him, or his lack of a name to him. And I'm there. I mean, I was pretty disgusted throughout the entire game. The Giants tried to gift us the game as many times as they possibly could. There was like 6 chances we had at the end, and we didn't take advantage of any of them. Just another reason why I think Stefanski needs to get his disrespectful moniker back from us. I think we need to start referring to him as Stefanik again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there. That's fine.
So yeah, I'm going with Stefanik until he gets his head out of his ass is what I'm going with.
And it also just feels like he has such little faith in this running game. And I know that none of these guys are Nick Chubb back there. I know none of the guys are Nick Chubb back there, but like 18 carries for the totality of your team in
69 yards.
In a
game that was giving up 169 rush yards a game.
Yes. Like, again, going back to like the simple schematics of coaching, right? Like, where's opportunity lie? Oh, this team is bad against defending the run. 18 runs is just probably not enough to get it done.
Oh, and don't worry, Jerome Ford averaged 3.7 yards per carry today, which we always rag on him about his yards per carry. Well, guess what? He also had 2 rushes that were over 10 yards. So you take those away and you're down in like the 1.8 range. So
yeah, he was going
not good.
He's just not good. Like, I'm so done with the Jerome Ford. Like, let's keep acting like he's going to be any sort of real running back in the NFL. He's not good. And I know you can't. You know, it's not all the running backs. It's not all the quarterbacks, because our O-line is ass right now, which is true. The O-line is not good right now. But let's get back to like their job and the 8 sacks that they gave up. Probably half of those were Deshaun's fault because he holds onto the ball so damn long.
Yeah.
So, and I would say a lot of the running game issues are because the running backs we do have in there have no vision whatsoever, specifically Jerome Ford. I know I texted you guys at one point, there was a 3rd and short, and he got the first down. It was like a 3rd and 1. He got the first down. But if he would have just broke to the outside, like we've seen Nick Chubb do, and I understand not everybody's Nick Chubb, but we've seen Nick Chubb do it a million times. It was nothing but daylight. He would have scored easy. And instead, he dipped inside and he got 1.5 yards and got the first down, which is great. But like, those are the type of plays that separate you know, an average to bad rushing game, really bad in this game for the Browns, to being a decent one.
Well, yeah. I mean, look. I mean, again, and we're not talking about like doing anything superhumanly. I mean, you saw Devin Singletary accomplish the same feat no less than 4 hours ago. You know, but like 10 carries for Jerome Ford. He's your leading ball carrier of the day. Last week, Deonta Foreman got, I think, 14 carries. And this week he has 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, what is the mix of like, I just can't figure out.
Can we be done with the Jameis Winston coming in for QB sneaks thing? Like, can we be done with that?
Yeah, that finally bit him in the ass, didn't it?
It's just so dumb. Like, why?
Well, everybody knows what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're just telegraphing your play. Yeah, and again, and the funny thing is, like, okay, this 3rd down is so important. It's 3rd and short. We're going to put Jameis in, but now on 4th and 2 or whatever, we're bringing Deshaun back. Like, if the play was important, why was your starter not in there to begin with?
Yeah, and yeah, it's just crazy to me. And I will say this. And we talked about this before we got on air, Kenny. One of the reasons why I'm so frustrated with Kevin Stefanik is because just when the penalty happened early in the game, when they got the roughing the passer penalty that negated the interception, which was a terrible call. We all know it was a terrible call. I barely touched him. It is what it is. And we'll talk about it again in a minute, because I want to actually address it and how stupid it was. But it happened, and instead of rallying the troops and kind of telling his guys like, hey, you know, we missed out on one there. It is what it is. Let's move on. Let's continue to push. It seemed like it was a completely different team from that point forward. It was like we had all the momentum. Everything was going well. Defense was fired up, to all of a sudden the defense was on their heels. We were blowing coverages. We were letting things get by us.
Well, I can
And
tell you this. I
was
mean, by
bad.
and large, this team did not look prepared for week 3. What they
No.
were prepared to do is celebrate as a team defensively in the end zone on a penalty. I mean,
Yeah.
that was so well choreographed. I mean, they were doing that all week long at practice, I guarantee you.
Yep.
So maybe that just the sheer embarrassment of that celebration and then having to come back and get the ball back was what did them in mentally. But man, what a good celebration that was. Yeah, this team just look. I mean, everywhere you look. I go back to a few weeks ago, right? Like you've known both of these tackles were injured all off season long, weren't going to get to play in camp. We threw around names like David Bakhtiari, who were sitting out there on his couch watching, football from home right now. It's like, how did we not go and do something to create some real depth on this offensive line? Every year these guys go down, you know that they get hurt. How do you not have viable backups? And at this point, I don't know. You need viable starters, because if you're telling me that's the best that we're getting out of the guys that we expect to be good, guys like Wyatt Teller, who got hurt today, guys like Ethan Pochik, who went down, who didn't get hurt, just wasn't good, and Joel Bitonio, like if that's the best these guys can do, like I don't know, maybe Father Time has caught up with these guys because they don't look good. You can't run the ball, you can't pass the ball. They just look flat out bad. So either they've regressed entirely. I mean, guys like DeJuan Jones, who came out last year, gangbusters. You thought he was going to be a solid piece. Like he hasn't looked good since he started this season.
No, he's looked really bad. Actually, he's like a turnstile over there. And the whole offensive line to that point is like turnstiles. I've never seen so many guys turned around watching plays.
Could we miss Bill Callahan anymore?
No, we can't. And that was going to be my point today was, look, I know the guy that we got was supposed to be another good offensive line coach, but to your point, I mean, we see who the heart and soul of this offensive line was in the last few years, and it wasn't any of the players. It was 100% Bill Callahan and what he brought to the table, and the fact that we don't have him, I think that's, we should have known it in the offseason, but going forward. And I think the Browns are going to continue to struggle because I think that offensive line is going to continue to struggle. What you're going to see is that is the number one move in the offseason, or that whether it went our way or didn't go our way, whatever the case is, that's the number one move that's going to shape this team this year. And we should have known it when it happened.
It's just been ugly.
It's been bad. So,
do you guys think Bill Callahan, I don't know, helped shape Stefanski a little bit? Like, is he missing a step without him? Just because even scheme-wise on the O-line, like, I don't know, they just seem completely off. I mean, you guys already touched on it, but it's just like, it's like a whole new team. Our O-line has been pretty solid the last 5 years. Even when we were bad, like, the O-line I always felt like was good.
Right.
And it's just terrible.
I think to me it's just like it's the perfect storm concept, right? George Clooney and Wahlberg drowning in the ocean. It's Bill Callahan's gone. You've got guys that are banged up, and then
our entire team's drowning in the ocean.
And then you've got whatever's going on with this Ken Dorsey offense that can't crack 20 points a game. Like,
don't you get me started with the Ken Dorsey offense.
No wonder Bills fans were so glad to be rid of this guy.
Oh my God. During the game, that just kept running through my head is the preseason when David Njoku, when Amari Cooper, when whoever it was, Jerome Ford, everybody came out and they're like specifically the quote from Njoku, what can we expect from this offense? Touchdowns. What, like 2? Like 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, 2.
We get like
a couple.
Okay. Because they've whatever we were promised, we are not seeing a sliver of it.
No. And look, again, I don't want to keep rehashing things that I can't do anything about, but Jesus, what a failure of the front office to go from having AVP in the room and Joe Flacco at the helm to Ken Dorsey this year and Deshaun Watson at the helm, because I mean, it's night and day. You can't look at me and those guys can't look at each other as executives and as guys that are playing for their football team and go, we made the right decisions. We got better this offseason. You'll never convince me of that because this team's 1-2, and they were fortunate to get out of Jacksonville with a win. They could be 0-3 if it weren't for a Hail Mary that fell out of that guy's hands. Like I will take Joe Flacco in the interceptions and winning 12 games in a season. That would be fine with me.
Do you know what Andrew Berry is right now? Do you know what Andrew Berry is right now? He's that meme, the dog sitting with his coffee cup in the fire. This is fine.
Yeah.
This is fine.
There's nothing fine about it.
Yeah, that's Andrew Berry right now because it's just insane. This team looks terrible. Like they don't just look bad. They just lost.
They look like old
Browns.
They
lost to the Giants.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones and the Giants. We made Daniel Jones look like a freaking Hall of Famer.
Yeah, we're going to be responsible for keeping Daniel Jones' job for most of the season.
He had a career half. He had the most completions he's ever had as a football player.
They'll go on and lose. They'll go on and lose 3 or 4 of their next 5 games, and they'll go. But remember how well he played in Cleveland?
That's insane. And nobody was safe today either. Bone, your boy, missed a field goal.
I know. He got one chance. That was it.
Well, he missed it. Why would we give him another one?
Yeah.
I'll say this about
whole
D-Hop.
team, top to bottom, is playing poorly.
I'll say this about D-Hop is it's hard to kick 100% for the season. So like at least he missed this field goal in a game that was just an absolute garbage show from beginning to end. Like I'd rather him make kicks when it matters later on versus look, if this is the one that has to break his statistics to 98% for the season, I'm good with it. Because this whole game was a shit show.
It was not good. That's for sure. But no, so I mean, I guess, it's funny at the end of losses like this, I feel like you always want to land on something that you can build off of, but I don't know if there's anything to build off of.
Nothing.
Like you've got to figure things out before you can start building, and we're not even to the point where we figured anything out yet.
No. I mean, where's the answer on the offensive line coming?
A whole new offensive line. That's what we need. A whole new one.
We're talking about issues with coaching and with personnel there.
Top to bottom.
Running backs, again, I don't think Stefanski trusts them at all. He's not giving those guys carries. And when they do, I mean, to be fair, they aren't doing anything with them. So until Nick Chubb comes back, there's zero answers there. Deshaun is his own conundrum. I mean, I've given up trying to explain anything about him. I just think he's washed. He's
below average.
Yeah, he's not good. He's not good enough to be a starter in this league anymore. And the thing is that's not going anywhere because of the contract. They're going to keep paying and playing him because of the money. And I get that.
And the sad part is we have a guy that probably is worthy of being a starter in the league on the bench right now.
Right. Yeah, but it's going to take this team to go on a skid of 4, 5, 6 more games that look like this before they'll even consider it. When the smart thing to do would be, hey, are we trying to win this year? Are we trying to make the playoffs this year? Then make the move that's best for your team. This team has handcuffed themselves into a position where they can't do that. On defense, I think that there's potential there for them to maybe right the ship, but it's not like we saw anybody there particularly play well today. I mean, shoot, the Giants came in with one weapon in Malik Neighbors, and the Browns, I'll say, underestimated him coming in because they let the shift go on. I think the plan was for Zell to cover him, which makes sense, but they started running him across the field in motion and letting Emerson cover him. And look, I like Martin Emerson, but I mean, he was victimized by Malik Neighbors.
He's not Denzel Ward.
He's not Denzel Ward. So until they figured that out,
we talked about this too. Another coaching error, in my opinion. I think the defense actually played just fine overall. I think once they finally were put in a position to succeed, and some adjustments were made later on, and they weren't pinning their ears back after they'd already been torched for a couple touchdowns, they were fine. But a big coaching error in the fact that you've got Denzel Ward, one of the premier shutdown corners in the entire league, and you don't put him on their only weapon for the entire game. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, look, they were fine to an extent. They gave up 21 points to a booty cheeks team. Yeah, but I mean, again, I think you have personnel there, and I think I do trust Jim Schwartz still. I just, man, they looked bad against Dallas and bad again today. It was like those two teams were the same, and the team we saw last week in Jacksonville was slightly better. So I don't know. I don't know where any of the answers are for this team. It feels bad. It feels like to your point, Ronnie, like it's the fire meme. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. Everything around you is collapsing and burning. And there's no way out, and you're just stuck sitting there.
Yeah. I just get so sick of year after year after year after year after year. And I know every Browns fan out there that hears this is going to relate to it hard. I just get so sick of it being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde every year. Like you get games where we come out gangbusters and we dominate because we're a good, I mean, on paper, you're a good football team. And then you get games like this where you come out and stinker. And I just don't understand it. It really makes it incredibly frustrating to watch this team. It makes it incredibly frustrating to continue to root for. I'm going to continue to root for them because I'm a Browns fan. That's what I do, but I'm not going to like it.
Hey, Brian, you want to go on a trip down memory lane real quick? Do you remember
Sure.
when there was a time period when, at the end of Baker and the beginning of Jacoby Brissett, where you wished for an entire year for a Browns quarterback to just throw just one time for 300 yards?
I think I'm still wishing, other than Joe Flacco.
How about we could get a quarterback that throws for 200 yards in a game? This was the upgrade. This was the upgrade that we were waiting on. This was the man.
I had no idea that
they gave it all away. We were
living in the good times.
We were living in the good times. Yeah. You never
know they're
until
the
you're in
good
the bad
times until they're gone.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just so hard to watch. But I guess, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys want to continue to keep rehashing this and shitting all over everything that happened today? I mean, I could run through the team stats real quick just to wrap things up in this.
I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I think we can kind of move on to the next thing here.
All right. So I guess the next thing here is going to be the Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week. And I don't know if you loaded any sounders or not, Kenny. So
I was having trouble because next time.
Stinker. But no, so this is the part we're gonna nominate. What we do is we're gonna go around and nominate the who we think should be this week's Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week. Each of us will put one up. I'll put a poll out on social media either tonight or tomorrow morning. Let everybody vote on it, and by Tuesday, we will let everybody know who won the Dog of the Week. So I'm going to go ahead.
MVP out of this mess.
What?
Trying to pick an MVP out of this mess.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be tough. Bone, I'm actually gonna start with you here.
Oh, excellent. Well, then I'll take him, Amari Cooper. Good luck, fellas. No, he caught everything today. Everything he caught, was a contested catch. 2 touchdowns, a bunch of toe tappers, and he came back. He came back to himself.
Yeah, he did. And I will say this: I know we were texting throughout the game, but it just seemed like the level of difficulty on his catches just kept going up as the game went on. He was like, "I got this. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree that he had a great game. Respectively, or relatively, compared to the rest of the team. I'm a little worried about the fact that each one of those catches was the most difficult catch I've ever seen have to be made in an NFL game. I mean, they were on the sideline. It's one-on-one. You're locked up. You've created no separation. Deshaun's just chucking balls wherever Deshaun's chucking them, and you're just expected to go up, fight for him, come down with him, and get both feet in bounds somehow. I mean, superhuman effort today. Looked and amazing doing it, but my concern is like that is not sustainable.
No.
No. I'm concerned as look, we were waiting for Amari to have a better game, and he certainly did statistically today, and just again in terms of like being a leader on the field in that offense, like he was the one guy that kind of held down his end. but I'm worried about his ability to create separation going forward. Like, this was a guy that was never like the fastest guy on the planet. He has enough speed, which is fine, but for an NFL receiver, he's not slow, but by any means. But it was his route running, the body control, the ability to create separation strategically and schematically, more so than just by sheer athleticism.
So far this season, no separation.
There was no separation today at all. So I just got something to watch going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And then so Bones is Amari Cooper. Kenny, who do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, I had Amari Cooper written in, but thanks, Bone, for stealing that one. I'll go just for the sake of having another nominee. I'll do Grant Delpit today. 10 tackles. He had the fumble recovery, I think, on the kickoff. Just seemed like a guy that was swarming all over, and trying to clean up the mess today.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he was everywhere. He got a fumble recovery. A pretty decent day out of Grant Delpit. You'll like seeing that. I actually have. I don't know if you guys will allow. We can nominate like a fourth one together if you would like, because I have two that I'm choosing between.
The first one, two out of this game.
Yeah, as weird as that sounds, and the only reason I ended up having a second one is because I checked the stat line and I was like, holy shit. So the first one though is Ronnie Hickman. That was the one I had originally. Ronnie Hickman had a pretty good game. He ended up with a fumble recovery. Let's see here. He should
have had an interception.
5. I was gonna say, yeah, he should have had the interception. He had 5 tackles. He was just kind of he's doing a really nice job filling in for Juan Thornhill. And you guys got to remember, this is a guy that's an undrafted free agent. Like, he wasn't supposed to be anything really, and he's come in and he's playing meaningful minutes for the Browns. Sure, they're losing right now, but he's doing a hell of a job with the opportunities he's been given. So I'm going to go Ronnie Hickman as the plus he's got a dope ass name.
Stupid name.
Yeah, so that was my main one. The other one that I want to say we could probably put up here as a group as a fourth one is Corey Bajorquez again. 6 punts for 306 yards and 5 inside the 20.
Dang.
Yeah, well, I agree. Honorable mention there. I don't think he needs to make the graphic though, because none of his punts were
meaningful,
consequential to the point where it turned the game. So I mean,
just saw it and I was like,
I have no problem recognizing Corey again. Hey, you're doing your thing out there, and again, a couple of those were very directional kicks that were right along the sideline, which
suck it, Belichick.
Suck it, Bill Belichick. But so I don't know if he heard that and took it personally. He's like, I'll show you, Bill. But,
I'm going to be the best directional kicker you've ever seen.
But the punter is the one guy that's been lights out all year.
So those will be our nominees. We're gonna have let's see who we say: Amari Cooper, Grant Delpit, and Ronnie Hickman. I'll get that graphic made up. We'll get that out on social media. Let you guys vote on it, and we'll choose from there. And with that, we're gonna do our final thoughts here for NFL Week 3. Kenny, we'll start with you.
Oh, you want my final thoughts?
Yeah, we'll save you. Bone, we're gonna start with you.
Man, final thoughts?
Yeah, just for the NFL Week 3. There's anything across the NFL?
Well, it's not good. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-0. Who played today? Did Fields play today, or did Russell Wilson get back? Fields played. Okay.
They're all talking about how you can't change quarterback over there because he's 3-0.
Yeah, they just keep winning. It's just a little unnerving there. But we'll see. We'll see. We don't play them till a little bit later in the year, so.
I still maintain they're fraudulent. All right, so my final thought, just to build off of that, Bone, is Baltimore got on the board this week too with their first win. So the division's coming. And I know Cincinnati plays later tonight, right? Or they play tomorrow?
I think they play tomorrow.
Must be Monday night. It's a doubleheader.
Yeah, there's 2 games tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the division's coming though. I mean, we play in the AFC North. Everybody's gonna be good. It's gonna be a tight race at the end of the season. So you can't afford to drop games to the damn New York Giants.
Nope.
You just can't do it. Kenny, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'll keep with the theme here. In terms of like, where do we go from here? What does the future look like? Guys, like, Giants, Raiders, Commanders. This was the soft part of the schedule. This was the opportunity to jump out in front of the division and say, this is our year. We know we have some tough games coming up. But if you're not taking care of business in the games that you should win, you're not a playoff team. You're not a good football team. You're not a playoff team. I am fearful about the rest of this season because if they can't get it together against these teams that aren't as good as them, statistically and on paper and just across the board, like, I have zero faith that they're going to walk into Pittsburgh, who might be 6-0 or whatever by the time we get there, and win those games. I mean, this team just looks bad in every phase of the ball. I'm not going to rehash the whole conversation. Like, this was an ugly, embarrassing performance, which wasn't far off from the first two that we had this season. And this season is quickly going down the dumpster. Something has to change, and it has to be drastic. To Ronnie's point there, like, you lost to the damn Giants. I guess my final thought of the week is that I'm done with game you should win. Whether it was the Giants or the Jets a couple of years ago, like, every time we get on and talk about this is a team that we're better than, this is a team that we should basically just chalk this up as a W. The Browns find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So done with that moniker in general, and this team better change something drastic fast.
There's no such thing as a game the Browns should win.
No. Never again.
And so with that, let me remind everybody one more time to call the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. Call us and leave your hot takes on the Hot Take Hotline. We want hot takes so we could put them on our show and we could talk about them, see how you guys as fans are feeling. So that number
we want to hear your frustration as well. We don't just want to be the only ones venting about this.
Yeah, I know I'm not the only one mad.
Somebody's got to be mad out there. Twitter is angry, so someone give me something.
Yeah, so that number again, 330-227-8080, 330-227-8080. Call now. We'll listen to those. We'll put them on air. We'll talk about them. And while you're at it, be sure to check out our gear, www.thetappingmedia.com/shop, and that'll do it for us. Kenny, what can we expect this week?
This week, so you can expect our normal show on Thursday. We will preview the Week 4 game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Vegas, baby. And obviously we'll continue our Browns backers interview series with our special guest, the Vegas Dog Pound. And I believe we also, do we have
John Hughes? John Hughes will be on with us this week as well. Yeah,
John Hughes,
fresh off his flag football game at halftime.
Yeah, so looking forward to having Big John back on the airwaves as well.
Absolutely. And check us out on social media. Tappin Media is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Tappin Media and Burning River Sportscast. That is this podcast is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Burning River Sportscast, and on X at Burning River Pod. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. Bone, you got anything to say?
Oh, yeah, time for my nightcap. So, bon appetit.
Don't just be a part of the problem, be the whole damn problem.
And only you can prevent river fires. Burning River Sportscast.
Burning Rivers.
Let's get out of here.
That's it. That's the show.
Show, old cat. Show.
Good night, Cleveland.
Good night, Cleveland.
Good night.